participants from 13 Caribbean countries assembled in St. Lucia for a rigorous, comprehensive, interactive training program, as you are well aware, in extension management services. The leaders of CAFAN think and take the continued development of regional agriculture as serious business. As such, they go out scouting, keeping an eye out especially for people who have the talent, interest, and who are well poised for nurturing careers in and around our agriculture economy. For leaders of CAFAN, anything less than total commitment to building on what we know as our agriculture in the region is not good enough. And it is this thinking that has placed us here today. This COLI-ACP PIP training is indeed one of the many initiatives facilitated through CAFAN to develop a vibrant cadre of agriculture professionals whom we deem are necessary resources to propel our regional agriculture. And so, as we end these 14 days of hard work on a high, I invite one of the participants to say a few words on his experience in St. Lucia and on his training. Julius Ross is a senior extension officer with over 25 years in agriculture, serving as a country representative for CARDI for several years, and a senior agricultural advisor for Antigua and Barbuda. Let's give a hearty welcome to Mr. Ross.
Sorry if I cannot make my presentation in the SIAM format, although that is on my brain. I'm tempted to do it, but I'll restrain from that. But I want to say, first of all, that on my behalf, and I'm certain on the participants' behalf, we're all very thankful to be here, and we are thankful for the opportunity to learn. When, at least for me, when I was approved, when my participation was approved, I was sort of in two minds as to what the final outcome would be. But I'm not like that anymore. We all came from 13 countries on December 1st, and we arrived. Some of us were late. Some people had baggage problems, but we all got here on the morning of the 2nd. I arrived in the room at 8:32 a.m., only to find the session in progress. This speaks of the discipline and the rigor that the course was carried out with. It also speaks of the seriousness that the trainers brought to the table, and as well as the whole ethic behind the ethic and culture behind the PIP COLI-ACP training programs. As participants, we were exposed to a few warm-up exercises. Some of us had a chance to exhibit our artistic flair by drawing another participant, and in the process getting to know them. And we are glad that some of us were not sued for the pictures we presented of our fellow. But we had a good warm-up, and I think at the end of that, some of the training team were scared of us because they didn't realize the vast range of expertise, the background, the cultures, the age group, starting from 20 to 70, I understand. But we were a big bunch of very, very varied background. And I think the trainers were really challenged to find a middle ground that was acceptable and that would ensure that their purpose was met at the end. They did a good job. During the exercise, the 2 weeks exercise, there were lots of high points, there were low points, there were joyous moments, there was even solemn moments when we paid a touching 1 minute silence in appreciation of the contribution of Nelson Mandela on behalf of CAFAN and ourselves. That was very touching when we had a 1-minute silence in his honor. There were moments of conflict between participants, between trainers and participants, between trainers and trainers, I was made to understand. The experiences, all in all, though, from the participant standpoint, we had one common thing. We came to learn. We came to gain knowledge. And in terms of our expectation, it was over-exceeded. We can see that we have become to use a course word, we have become re-aroused or there was also some new language. You remember, I'm having very good memories because I don't know if I'll be going to another workshop. And they purposely chose me to give this speech, which I'm honored. But there were things, you remember things like somebody asking another one, what is a pesticide? And they said, oh, that's a pest on the side. And then he said, no, and the person said, I'm acting on behalf of a farmer. So there are lots of humorous moments, but at the bottom of it, there was serious learning. One of the high points of the training was, of course, the FTW. Some of us have very good potential for Hollywood. There was one gentleman in particular who spent the whole day acting with a spray can on his back. We appreciate it. Some of us, the old extensioners, were given a chance to realize that we were doing more teaching than training. And we are now equipped with the tools to go back and do more training rather than teach. Let the adults discover what we have to give them. Don't throw it at them. That's the sort of thing we're going back with.
And we want to thank you as well, Mr. Ross, for your time and your delivery about your experience and your way forward. Collier ACP and CAFAN has formed a formidable partnership whereby agriculture workers, agriculture ministry and NGO staff, even agri-entrepreneurs can see tangible manifestations and take advantage of opportunities for their professional development. This union brought together highly qualified and well-versed technical officers in a training exercise that would help build on the skill set of our regional agricultural technical officers. To tell us more about the main objectives and focus of the PIP training, I invite the lead trainer, Mr. Ernest Muzo Kutwa, to the podium.
I'd like to first of all recognize the following stakeholders: Collier ACP, PIP, for the support and effort they've put in this training, and also to recognize CAFAN. It's a recommendable job that they're doing. To the participants, it's been great being with you. I'll say a little bit more later concerning you and us, the trainers. To my fellow trainers, Martin, as he put it 6 months ago when he got the ordering letter from PIP, then he put together a rough training program. Then we joined in, we had a team, and it's worked. And thank you very much. One of the first things that Martin and I did when I met him here was to go into the little podium there and say a prayer. So it was so gratifying this time around to hear another prayer from somebody. Thank God for that. To Dr. Meriden Rhodes, we can't forget you as trainers. And Bethalmi, great job that you did to really make it easy on us to help us. Thank you very much as parents. We're not forgetting the hotel and staff management as trainers. They really looked after our tummy. Yeah, in Africa, you don't look somebody on the forehead, but look in the stomach. And they did. Thank you to the management and the staff. You did a great job. I want to really thank the participants for the endurance they've shown and the interest they've shown in the training. As we indicated when we gave the big CEO at the beginning, that the TOT and the FTW are normally done separately, but they were put together for reasons that every one of us here can explain. But really, it took its toll on the participants and indeed on the trainers, but you really worked beyond our expectations. When we started as trainers, we were a little worried. But when we gave you the first assignment of the FTW, we were just encouraged to see the commitment that you put in. And that also gave us a challenge to raise up the stakes. So really, you did a great job. You made our work a lot easier. Thank you very much. Going forward, you've given plans and things that you wish to do. As Mr. Gay said already, PIP will remain open, including us, the trainers. One of the things we discovered, we've got a family in the Caribbean, and please go ahead, teach the farmers, be the ambassadors of the Cole ACP. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker really needs no formal introductions. However, his work in facilitating initiatives tailored to the needs of a developing regional agriculture economy is highly commendable. His leadership as the chief coordinator of CAFAN has allowed him to interface with practitioners of many professions and around the globe. He has a keen eye for talent and skill and insightful understanding for what it will take to move regional agriculture to the next level. For him, working to get all on board, and when I say all, I mean journalists and communicators for development, lawyers, accountants, economists, scientists, all these professionals whom you won't normally associate with agriculture, interested in the business of agriculture and growing our regional agricultural economy. Why? Because agriculture for him and for his CAFAN network is building a network of professionals dedicated to the future of agriculture. And he sees this as pivotal to our socio-economic development as a region. Yes, agriculture is indeed the industry of our future. To tell us more, let's give a hearty welcome to the Chief Coordinator of CAFAN, Mr. Jeffrey Green, as he makes his way to the podium.
First of all, let me say that we in the CAFAN leadership, we are very, very pleased with the outcome of this workshop. Let me first of all express our appreciation to our partner, COLAP SCP, and Guy, you and your staff has done a fantastic job. I know I'm not the easiest person to work with because I'm an everybody case all the time, but your staff did a fantastic job at the head office. The trainers did a fantastic job also, because I keep getting all these tweets about how this is the greatest workshop they ever attended. So I decided, okay, although I'm tired after all these long trips coming back from US and thing, I must come over to this to see what this great thing is all about. And to be honest about it, I'm impressed. Let me also say that, so the trainers must be congratulated, but also too, the members of CAFAN and our partners who are also part of this training, because what is interesting is that we, in the CAFAN network, we are trying to expand all the time. So in some countries, when the CAFAN members, there were members that we have directly from the CAFAN network, and there were others who were from other organizations. Because according to the CAFAN philosophy, you're a simpler custodian. You're not an end in yourself. When you sit in a country, you're a facilitator. You hold the directorship of CAFAN. You hold the focal point. But it's not for you and your group only. It's for the good of the farming community and for the small farm families in your country. Let me also acknowledge also that what we did is to try to get some of our senior directors in here. I want to acknowledge one of my senior directors, Evans, also. And then one of my directors who was not part of the training but came to the closing, Felix. All right. And then we have our young director from Trinidad, Suku, who is also there. And then Nikisha, who is heading up our volunteer team in Guyana. And we also have people directors from our major organization, JS, Jamaica Agriculture Society, hold the chairmanship of CAFAN. And we also have a strong presence from our technical group in Jamaica. Arthur Green, you're supposed to be providing a lot of the technical support. So it's a good mix. And this is our attempt to say that in the CAFAN network, deepening the leadership and ensuring succession planning is not only critical, but is a vital part of our effort. And this training reflects that. Now, what we are doing here, or what we have done here, is to deepen the technical capacity of the organization, building a pool of technical capable persons. As I challenge you today, when I was listening to your output and your enthusiasm, I say, start with baby steps. Start with what you can do. In truth and in fact, I'm telling you, there are some simple techniques we use in the CAFAN network. Anytime I go to a farmer's meeting, anywhere in the village, I would make sure that when I go to that meeting, I even have some vegetable seeds or some planting material in my hand to give to a few people. Because I want to, when I leave that village, that I leave something that is connect me to the people. Sometimes we spend a lot of time planning in theoretical framework without understanding the practicalities on the ground. And what I was impressed with is that this training was very practical. So, when you go back home, while you're waiting or doing the larger plan, you could also be practicing on your model farms. You could also be practicing the same technique within your own small groups. Let's get it moving. Let's get it working. This technical assistance program is part of our long-term strategy. And Guy, you better believe it, that we have every intention that within the next couple of months to have a very solid long-term contractual arrangement with COLAP SAP. COLAP SAP is a fantastic organization. It's a mixture of buyers and sellers. And as farmers, our core business is production and marketing. So we are with the right bunch of people. We're not technically, we're not an NGO. We're not there just for the glory and thing. In truth and in fact, we promote, and as I said, in Europe, our small farmers are small business persons. If a person is selling coconut, or if a person is selling juice, if a person has a small restaurant, is a business person. You can't tell me that my small farmer is not a business person. He brings to the table, he or she brings to the table lands and skill. And they didn't bring it to the table for their good looks, they bring it to the table because they want to make money, they want to make a decent living. And some of us have taken the leadership of Farmers Organization into this theoretical, fantastic, romanticized framework of agriculture that is a dead end, that we have not seen any progress for years. And every time you come back, the problem is still the same and getting worse over and over again. Well, we are saying in CAFAN, we have had enough. And we're not going to take this crap anymore. So that's why we're training you to bring new ideas, new information, new approaches to bring wealth to our small farm community. We want to build a solid class of business, successful farmers, that they could have a business that can be turned over to their children, that the children compete for. Like when I go to Holland and I see the children competing for the dad farms, I'm happy. They're the elite there. The people who work in the banks are nothing. The banks cater for them. They drive the Mercedes-Benz. I want to see our small, and they can do it. So our technique in CAFAN is wonderful. We don't deal with individual farmers. We cluster farmers together. And the reason for clustering is that you get economies of scale, and according to research, you group 20 farmers with 5 acres or 3 acres, their output is 3 times higher than a person with a single unit because of intensity of management, training, whatever. So our approach is good. We have seen the results of that. And all we need to do now is to ensure that we support this effort with successful, sustainable, profitable markets. And that's why where Geek comes in. Okay, I was telling Geek, I'm not hanging around you just for my good looks or your good looks. I'm hanging around you because I have an ulterior motive. I want to tap all your markets in Europe. Because that's a big market. And then beyond Europe. Okay? What you have done here now is a training that you could use as a base for global gap, China gap, Asia gap, what have you, Euro gap. The point is you have the base for that. And we now need COLAP SAP to help us build on that because we need to have this kind of sophisticated training, traceability, etc. Because if you want to move into the sophisticated supermarket chain, traceability is very important to them. They can't put their consumer at risk. And if you're able to reach to their level of what they desire, we may be able to even sell the produce before it is out of the ground. But we have always been stuck in the mediocre market because we have not applied the science and the technology to make sure that we could reach the high-end market. Only the banana industry have come closest to it, and even that is now fledgling with most of the bananas coming from Central America. So now that we are in the productive roots and tubers sector, we have tested a number of shipments. We have seen over 2 million pounds of produce sold by our small farmers in some of the islands going without a claim back from the market. We need now to put the sophisticated end of this training and capacity on top of it. Because the supermarkets now are asking us for these commodities, but they want to make sure that we meet their certification requirements. Some of them are Euro gap, some of them are global gap. So all this training is geared towards that. So I'll be working over the next 6 months, and I expect that we would have a good technical cooperation agreement with COLAP SAP. As members, I intend for us to join as members, and by January I intend to get a positive answer for our membership application because we want to sit on the board. The Caribbean need to be represented. And it's not going to be Africa and Europe only, it's going to be Caribbean, it's going to be a major part of it. This training propels us even further towards that. This is also strengthening the leadership within CAFAN. And remember, one of the other things again that we have to be very careful about is over the years, the way some development agencies, I don't want to name names, and some of us have romanticized poverty in agriculture, is what has kept the sector down and create this negative image. I know we could say we come from slavery and everything like that, but the truth of the matter, there are young people with degrees planting certain kind of crops that we don't want them to plant in worse condition, but they're doing it why? Because they're making money out of it. The reality is we have to make sure that we develop an agriculture system that is viable, profitable, sustained profit that can be seen. And in order to do that, we need to ensure we take the value chain approach. The farmer is the most important and most critical person of the value chain. But the mistake we have made, we have shown agriculture as if it's only farmer. In our system in CAFAN, what we want to do, even when we promote the model farms concept, the climate smart, business smart model farms that we want to promote, which is now getting a lot of traction by our partners, is that we want to see the kids who have a computer, because in most of the countries the government our government in the region are very progressive. They have given computers to children in all the schools. There's computer in almost every home. There's connectivity now moving throughout the region. We want them to use that as part of the tool to help with record keeping, etc. We also need the journalists to help promote agriculture and food security. We also need the person with accounts to help us do our financial planning and business plan. So in the value chain, it is one of the sectors that require more skill and a lot of intellectual muscle. And that's one of the reasons why we go within the university to pull out people like Dr. Scott, who is a historian, but also come from a farming background. We go to pull out people like Amanda, and we have a lot more people within the university system we pull out to help add the intellectual muscle required to boost our agriculture small farm sector. We'll continue to do that with you. We'll continue to do that in an inclusive manner. Recently, we approached FAO because I attended a workshop in Central America. And he was supposed to be planning for the next year, supposed to be Year of Family Farms. And when I heard what was going on in Central America, there was very little about the Caribbean. So I said, what happened? We don't exist? So I came back and I said to them, we are going to have a consultation about the Caribbean. We are going to take the best practice from Central America, our own best practice. I don't want to use the best practice. Good practice, because best is a final word. The good practices, and we use them, and then we build a forum, and that's Amanda where would come in, where we showcase the importance, and that's where Ross has mentioned, and the contribution of small farmers, so that the politicians out there who are now having this idea of mega farms, of selling out our lands to big investors because they get a political bribe, they would have second thought. Because the unity, the survival and the strength of our agriculture depends on the unity of our farmers. And you have got to build this unity within your country and across region. And that is what CAFAN stands for. And if you build that unity, we will be able to force and make sure that the right policies are in place to protect our small farmers, which is vital for our long-term security, our food security. Because if food and water get in the hands of these big multinational corporations who trade for profit, we would continue to be vulnerable. And that is what has screwed up a lot of the world food plan. It's not that there's not a lot of food in the world, but it's who manages it and how it is distributed. And we in the Caribbean have a unique example of not repeating the mistakes of several of the developed countries, okay, or even some of the developing countries. And you, as the leaders, must provide that emphasis to make sure you're leading the right way, in a secure way, so that we can make sure the right policy framework are in place. This workshop is just a tip of the iceberg. This workshop has pointed to the vision of our people. This workshop has shown your capacity and your leadership. Let us move in the right direction. Ideas and suggestions are easy to come. Putting it into action still remains the hardest part of the business. Let us do the hardest part of the business. Thank you all very, very much. Participants, trainers, call-up SCP, the media, everybody here and my directors, let us do the hardest part of the business. Go forward, implement, and remember, promote the unity of our farmers, not in a romantic way, but in a business way, towards profitability and towards sustainability, and continued investment in our sector would follow once we're able to develop that kind of model. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Green, for this electrifying, invigorating delivery this afternoon. At this time, I invite the Director of PIP, the program which supports the production and marketing in the ACP region, Mr. Guy Singlehamba, to make his timely remarks at the closure of this PIP training exercise. Let's welcome Mr. Stangelhammer.
After Jethro, it's very complicated to do something because I will speak not so strongly, not so long, and not so clearly. But I appreciate. I always challenge like that. Just to compete with you, it's not fair. I will just say it. The training system of COLACP is what we call a revolving fair training system. Why? Why it's changed name? Revolving, it seems like coming from the finance. It's revolving because you are giving to the system. all ACP, you saw people that are coming from different countries, and they were building the system. The consultants, you are coming in the family of COLACP now. You have to give what you have received and to improve it. And improving it, it's the revolving system. Fair, because we have different programs as projects in general are coming from Europe or from the United States with experts. No, we are not. I'm the only one moving. And no, it's in your hands. It's local consultants manage their programs. We are using for all our mission more than 90% of local consultants because they are the best. They are who knows. They don't spend a lot of time in logistics to find the farms. You are doing the job. It's fair because the programs, incomes, the money of the programs go to the people in the country, and no in external consultant. It's just for the beginning. It's a cascade. I prefer to say fontaine, revolving fontaine. It's very important. It's a family. You said next year is the family farming year. Welcome in the family. Welcome the COLACP family. That's very important. And I will just finish to say that it's something amazing, incredible, to be able to learn every day. I learned today, and you were learning in the last two weeks, and you said people from 20 to 70 years. That's incredible, and that's more amazing to be able to recognize it and to be open to do that. I know that in Caribbean people are very curious to learn and to find more and to study more and to do more. And welcome again in the family.
The St. Lucia agriculture economy, much like the rest of the region, continues to improve and benefit from the many initiatives implemented by friendly governments, development organizations, and which are facilitated through development partners such as CAFAN and now COLACP. No one can dispute that the bold steps of CAFAN has already started to bear fruit at the ministerial level with our youth and on the ground with practical training of agricultural technical officers. Bringing greetings and closing this fantastic workshop, I invite St. Lucia's Agriculture Minister's representative, our Senior Agricultural Officer, Mr. Michael Lamontine, to the podium.
Folks, I want to, just to put in practice what I've learned, and it says protocol, I want to first welcome invited guests here, Mr. Raphael Felix, who is the General Manager for Bellevue Farmers Cooperative. Other invited persons, I also want to make mention of for me as a participant being here, apart from that name Vanessa. Have you spoken to Vanessa? What did she say? Vanessa. But there was another name, and I think this person is in here with us. And I want to recognize her, and that is our grounds coordinator, Dr. Marilyn St. Rose. I would also like to welcome the media personnel here. I think, is it DBS? I think I recognize. And Calabash, okay, and the ministry, the information department. Folks, on behalf again, like I said, I think I'm trying to think which shoes am I wearing, whether it's the participant shoes or whether the minister's shoes. Folks, I want to say welcome, and I want to, please note, I don't want to stay too long because I think my persons who have spoken before me have said it all. But I just say, I think, with relevance to the ministry's program, and that is one of the key concerns we have, and I think Jeffro spoke for a while, but one of the key concerns we in the Ministry of Agriculture, St. Lucia, has is to reduce our importation bill, the cost of importation. And that, I must say, with the training that you have undertaken here and having looked at your program activities that you undertook the last 14 days, I think it says it all. And one of the messages we want to put out there, and I know we have farmers among us here, is that the ministry are now saying this phrase, and I know earlier on you were saying something, of who are you? I'm a farmer. Who are you? I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer. We would like to say, for us in the Ministry of Agriculture, as service-oriented people to provide that service, we, as technical persons in the ministry, see ourselves talking to business persons. And it's one of the things we want to say, draw that message here, that whenever we approach farmers in a gathering and speaking to them, official and unofficial, we say to them, you are a business manager, because it has to do with loss and profit, but we're more looking at the profit aspect. So all what you have learned, I'm sure for the past 14 days, really would play a part in getting out there and not starting production. The production is there. It's getting the quality that the consumer, and I think we learned that also for some of us, some of you here, it was new, and I think the term was used from the farm to the fork. But we were trying to change that term to the table. All right. Once again, I want to say that we would like to thank CAFAN for being a partner with this exercise. Also, I think the cooperatives and the Ministry of Agriculture. I know that the ministry did play a part in making sure that all was well, especially being the host country. And I want to say that the ministry was obliged and did work to make sure that everything went on smoothly. I think I just want to do a little quick observation. And one of the things we learned here, and I want to say to Jeffrey, you may have not been here for the past day or two, but to pick that up, I learned that whilst the colleagues or the participants had the goal now to go back and share with their colleagues and farmers or business persons, I learned that this morning in their presentations, not only to the farmers, to their family and friends. And I must say, hearing this, when I heard this morning, in addition to family and friends, I must say, whatever they have learned there was really, really good. All right, and I think they appreciated that. The tools, again, apart from seeing what was used, I think one of the key things that was acquired here was also the education, the behavior. All right, the participants, I'm sure, learned this and would take back, which is the knowledge to be implemented. Again, I was informed that, and we knew that there are 12 countries participating, and that for St. Lucia, I think, was excellent. 12 countries, and we were talking 29 participants. But before I end here, I would just like to say, one of the things with the Ministry of Agriculture, we have collaborated, and we work in collaboration with the Ministry of Health now, because food encompasses, when we talk about food, although it's in the raw aspect, it has still to do with the health. So to make sure that all the practices are in place, we work along with the Ministry of Health, but also with the Ministry of Tourism. So I hope that that activity that has taken place here has also benefited us on the touristic part of it, because the participants who are here now, and because the course was so intense, had very little time to see the rest of the country. And I have, from a survey that I carried out quickly, over 60% of them here now are returning to St. Lucia. Once again, the course is ended, and see you when you get back.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Martin Satney, who is the coordinator of the Black Sigatoka Management Project in St. Lucia. And Mr. Satney, you did come at the right time, because it's the moment I think all the participants have been waiting for. I think I'd be right to say it's the graduation ceremony after 14 days of intensive training. And so I'd like to invite Mr. Green, Guy, and Ernest to the front center of our room for the presentation of certificates of participation.
PIP, ACP, and CAFAN for organizing such a wonderful training session. We'd also like to thank the trainers because they have been marvelous over these past 2 weeks. One night we had Martin and Yana and Ricky out until 11 doing a demonstration just to get it right. My fellow participants, you've been wonderful, truly. 12 countries, 29 of you, you've been great. The management and staff of Bay Gardens Hotel for accommodating us and for feeding us. We have had a wonderful time here, and as we head home, I wish you all a safe journey. Thanks, everybody.
Well, this would add a lot of value to the work that I do because I represent farmers. I advocate on behalf of farmers in agriculture in all different aspects.
It's a personal advancement for me in terms of my extension duties as an extension officer. I don't have much experience in this field in terms of presentations, so this trainers workshop is very critical in my role as a